So I have a absolutely horrific story here. Mm-hmm. And this is actually from Fox News.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah. Church leaders charged with using homeless people as forced labor.
Can we... Okay. Mm-hmm. Go on.
So a dozen leaders of California-based Imperial Valley Ministries, or IVM, are accused of using dozens of mostly homeless people as forced labor, making them surrender their government benefits and panhandle up to 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, so the leaders could reap the financial benefit.
What? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm speechless.
Oh, it gets worse.
I was expecting okay, they've housed homeless people and then decided, you work for the church now, build stuff. As opposed to
I know.
No, you humans exist so that you can get the church money. Mm-hmm. Well, okay.
This is the problem with
everything I do is good because I'm on God's side. It doesn't matter what happens to humans. Give me the money.
Yeah, people, they just assume, this is a church. They are inherently a good, moral, honest organization.
Yeah.
And I'm going to implicitly trust them. That is it's
a little dangerous.
Yeah, don't do that.
It's the thing that makes the fact that something is a church not trustworthy, right?
And
because when you give this blanket any church is good to forgive me for saying, people who take a view of society like a jackal, that go, where can I carve out money? They do this.
So this church sounds like they're being like a pimp.
Kinda, yeah.
Well, I mean, and again, pimps deliver prostitutes.
Yeah, that's right.
They're putting homeless people on the street.
So when they come back, the homeless people come back, they'll be like, bitch, where's my money?
Oh, damn right.
That's a pimp.
I mean...
Bitch, you better have my money through rain, sleet, or snow.
Yeah, how much money did you panhandle for me today?
That's the year.
Well, I mean, sure, but I'm missing the pimp rather than just the, oppressive.
The pimp sends out
voting. They're not slaves, but
sends out their Johns to do the work, whether it be sexual. They're pimping them.
Yeah,
and they confiscate all the money as well. So that's kind of the connection I was making.
Well, the thing is, sex work is totally fine, but exploiting sex workers is not.
Yeah, my focus is on the exploitation.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm talking about, the exploitation.
Yeah.
And just to make the point that I was going to in just a minute ago is, this implicit trust that's how, a lot of these predators, they are drawn to religious institutions because they know that they are given authority and status that they do not deserve in any way, shape, or form, and they can abuse that authority to abuse others.
Yeah, and if you always tell someone, and society always says what a church does is good and will never be questioned, it gives temptation free reign in the house of God.
So were they housing these people?
They actually were.
Okay.
And I'll get that on the second page. The defendants, including an ex-pastor, Victor Gonzalez, are charged with forced labor, conspiracy, document servitude, and benefits fraud. The church leaders were accused of scamming victims into rehabilitation homes, forcing them to hand over their welfare benefits, and later holding them against their will by confiscating identification cards, driver's licenses, passports, and immigration papers.
But they're men of God, Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
But they're men of God. They just need our prayers and forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Unlike those families that come across the border and break a law, rule of law there, but not for church.
But they repented.
God damn it. Okay, I'm
Have they?
Sidetrack for 2 seconds.
Okay.
I saw one article that I decided not to click on, but it was a prophet who was saying that Ruth Bader Ginsburg is being kept alive by God, so she has time to repent.
Well, bless her heart. Good for her.
Okay.
I mean, of all of the things that you're like, it's a miracle. She battles cancer and then is back on the thing 2 weeks later or whatever. But
no, God's keeping her alive so she can apologize for, being a good person. So the...
okay.
Yeah. So the IVM, that's the church, operates a non-denominational church in El Centro and is said to have some 30 church affiliates throughout the U.S. and Mexico, with locations including Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Phoenix. Victims were recruited from as far away as Texas, allegedly lured with the promise of shelter and free food. The defendants allegedly told the victims they would eventually be able to return home because the church would help provide resources. Instead, defendants stole victims' welfare benefits and required adherence to rules, such as, you are not allowed to discuss things of the world. The
What?
only things of the world.
Okay.
Can you maybe, you were kind of, you grew up religious and I didn't. Can you parse that out for
Things of the
me
world.
and
Yeah,
maybe some of the
could-
viewers that did not grow up religiously indoctrinated?
It means evil. When I first came back from the military, my first time on leave, and I saw my dad, which I hadn't seen for a while, I talked to my stepmom later, and he goes, he was so glad to see you, but he was so concerned because he sees so much of the world in you. So that's sin, outspokenness,
Yeah.
nonconformity, free thought,
Non-church.
non-church stuff.
So,
There's
And I
the-
didn't even cuss in front of him.
wow. So you have to
shit.
you have to stay in the tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to conform to the strict adherence
Yeah.
of, whatever the rules of our little tribe are, you cannot deviate
Correct.
from that whatsoever.
So basically,
and
of the
if
world.
you do, that's worldly.
Yep. In that context, in the world means accepting or believing or discussing things that we don't believe.
So thinking for yourself, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still remember that, and I was like, "What a freaking creep and a horrible thing to say to somebody, to your own son." Because it is. It's an insult. It really is.
Yeah.
It's very degrading and demeaning. It's kind of like when somebody asks you as an atheist, "Where do you get your morals from?" It's that same type of feeling for me, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
So that was the first rule. Secondly, the only thing to be read is the Holy Bible.
Boring.
And these poor bastards.
Hated it.
They're forced to panhandle
Yeah.
and do all kinds of shit for the church. But the real punishment is having to read the Bible. And lastly, if any of these rules were broken, there will be discipline.
That's not ominous at all.
No.
Well, I mean, the Bible is notoriously lenient when it describes punishment for not churching correctly.
it's
on
almost
their
always
Bible
death,
count.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the Bible quiz show. God prescribes punishment. Speed round. What is the punishment for that? Death. What is the punishment?
Damn
for
it, you beat me.
punishment for XYZ?
Death?
Punishment for YZX.
Death. You're too slow.
ABC.
You're too slow on the
I'm
buzzer.
trying. No, I was
it's
wandering. Is there any other punishments that the Bible unleashes aside from death
Exile.
or exile? Okay,
Exile
All right.
from the tribe.
We need
So we got exile, we got death, we have eternal burning. Did they do whippings or anything?
I thought you were going to say whippets.
Whipping?
Did they do whippets?
Do you get whippings?
They raced whippets, I think. in
Stoning?
tracks.
That's death. But that's
death.
You can't stone just to hurt. I'm gonna stone you enough just so you know what I meant business.
I work with kids,
Yeah.
so I see them throw rocks at each other just to hurt.
But they don't do lashes. I know they talk
they've
about
done-
sparing a rod.
Well, no. I mean, spare the rod, spoil the child is not a direct quote. It's
Yeah.
just like a thing that people added on to withhold
'Cause
not
the-
correction from a child.
Because the Christians love whipping their kids.
well, it's
So where does that come from? I mean, is that biblical?
there's spare not correction from a child. Give him a little whap.
So correction can be interpreted as a whack.
It's no.
What's the Hebrew
designed
for
to-
whack?
I
Whack-a-mole.
Yeah, Jamie.
I don't know. My Hebrew translations are whack, bro. But it's
recognize, homie.
It's corporal punishment is the only way I've heard that interpreted.
Did you say that this is an hour show this time?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we're closing it.
All right, let's move
I still
along.
have to be able to read my Ezekiel.
Okay, let's move on because I've got a little bit more, and it gets worse.
Oh.
The church claimed to, quote, restore drug addicts at its group homes and raise money for IVM so it could open more churches and continue its mission in other cities. But many of the victims didn't even require rehabilitation.
But they are broken children of God, so they require whatever the church is going
Are
to
these-
dang give them.
Are these assholes in jail?
I believe they've been charged with
I think it hasn't gone through yet. So these victims, again, many of them who were not even addicts, but were treated as addicts and forced into these group homes, they were locked in and the windows were nailed shut. According to an incident in one case, a 17-year-old broke through the window to escape for help.
Am I forgetting? Churches don't have to follow fire codes, do they? Because it seems like nailing shut windows.
That's the thing that's crossing the line for you.
Well, I mean, that's not. I just mean like every aspect of this.
You violated the fire code.
I don't mean that. More than let's forcibly imprison people against their will in the church basement so that we can send them out to panhandle for the church.
I took a class on building codes, and it was the most boring thing I've ever done. And yes, the churches have to abide by fire codes.
I was going to say I have actually asked you if you have your old textbooks because I'm boring.
Oh, I might have my building codes,
God.
but I don't know.
All right.
Defendants also took the victims' electronic, their EBT cards, which is their welfare
Yeah.
support, and use their SNAP benefits improperly, giving them to
Ineligible. persons.
ineligible persons, telling the victims not to seek outside employment, according to the indictment.
Wow.
Yeah, they took their IDs, took their EBT cards, took their SNAP benefits, locked them in, bolted the windows.
Nailed.
Yeah, nailed the windows, bolted the doors.
Jesus.
And they're taking everything that these people are, all the money that they get when they're panhandling and everything else, and just taking it for themselves.
Yep. But
These
they
pe-
have
these
divine
people
mandate.
these people are slaves. I mean, there's
Yeah.
really no two ways
They're
about
slaves in this world, but they'll be
Yeah.
free in the next.
I'm sorry, no, it's indentured servitude.
it. Oh, fuck off! There is
It's
there is
you're indentured
basically no
by-
difference.
Yeah. Well, actually,
There are some
in
differences.
this one they didn't
but-
borrow money from the church.
Yeah.
It literally can't be indentured servitude.
Yeah. So church leaders allegedly refused to give the EBT cards and personal property back when people in their charge wanted to leave. They coerced victims to stay by threatening to take away their children if they left.
Like Jesus.
Yeah. Saying that victims wouldn't be provided transportation home or claiming they had to stay because only God loved them and their families would reject them.
You know what really kills me is that the response to this story is going to be, well, they just didn't have Jesus.
This is
solution
only
is
one
prayer.
church. There's only one church.
Oh, it's one church,
that you're
one
pointing out.
time. It's definitely not a thing that when you give human beings unchecked, unquestioned authority and tell them you're working for God. Don't question that you're working for God, but you're working for God.
Was that a Fox News article?
Yeah.
I'd be interested to look at the comments to see what Fox News
Yeah, that would be
watchers
interesting.
would make of that.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. We could have a little
'cause, I mean,
bonus comment reading thing.
There are rare instances, not many, but there's rare instances where you have the Christian community actually take the right side of the arguments. Let's say with the Westboro Baptist Church. Majority of the Christian community said, no, that's wrong, that's evil, that's bad.
Well,
I would hope,
The
and I really
outspoken
would
moderates.
hope. I'm sorry?
the outspoken moderates.
Yeah. I would hope that that would have that same type of reaction with this type of article. Because, there are the moderates that
Yeah.
are vocal and will come out and say, this shit is wrong.
As a sociology experiment in the United States, it'd be interesting to post this story and then a sort of hoax version that described the victims in this case as undocumented immigrants, and then compare what the response is.
Or say, hey, this is a Muslim church.
Yeah.
that did
A
all
mosque.
this.
There would be
mosques.
burnings.
Tell you what, I'll make a deal with you.
It's like
I'll make a deal with you. I'll follow up to see what those comments are like if you let me read my.
I would.
If you were to let me read my passage.
We're coming up on time, and I've
Yeah,
got some
hang on.
shit to say.
Oh, remember the punishment thing?
Okay.
So, if victims violated any rules, the defendants inflicted punishments, including withholding food.
Yeah.
A diabetic woman was allegedly refused medicine or supplies and even food to remedy her low blood sugar.
Jesus.
She actually escaped.
Good.
Yeah, I guess that was the most common punishment for, being worldly and reading something other than the Bible, was withholding food and medicine.
Because men shall not live on bread alone. Or insulin.
Yeah.
Men shall not live with bread if the church says no.
But yeah, I mean, the
Thou
most
shalt
common.
shun thy insulin, becometh thee.
Ugh. All right.
Well, again, I think the most common rebuttal would be like, "Oh, but guys, that's only one church. You're only picking on this one thing."
Yeah. Why are you coming at Christians?
Yeah,
Why don't you
people-
ever criticize Muslims, huh?
Because they'll jihad your ass. And they'll come after you and find you.
I don't restrain myself from criticizing abuses and practices. It's just that they're here in the United States right now real bad.
Yeah.
Trust me, if we get a Muslim majority and mosques are doing terrible shit, I'm still going to be here talking
Yeah,
some.
but they'll get you.
Yeah.
The evangelicals are going to try and come get me first, probably.
Yeah.
No, they're lazy. They'll just put you. They'll just lock you up and refrain giving you food or your
That
insulin.
counts as getting me. I would like to say for the record that whether someone runs up and shoots me or runs up, kidnaps me, locks me in a basement somewhere, and starves me to death, I'm going to put both of those in the broad category of getting got.
So I would
So
say,
if you were going to
God
get
damn it.
kidnapped, and starved and whatever, would there be a ransom for you? who would it go to?
My soul would be ransomed back to God, probably.
No, they're not going to get no money from there.
They don't need money. They have.
Then why would
they have my.
would they kidnap you?
I'm going to
because
interject.
I say stuff they don't like.
I'm going to interject. So my response,
Would you pay Jamie's ransom?
my response would be, I mean, yes, we are picking on, and yes, this was just one church in this one instance, but
Yeah.
Cycling back to our earlier criticisms of this is the result of giving power to people who do not deserve it and institutions who do
Yeah.
not deserve power and authority and trust.
Yeah.
And this is the result.
Yeah.
Unchecked authority.
Yeah.
Christian privilege.
So just because it's this one church, this one time, that is a direct result of this trust that they do not.
I was going to
deserve.
say, additionally, they probably have way more Bible quotes in their, 6-shooter holster of pastorism to defend their running of the church than, I don't know, I would research to try and treat your neighbor as yourself. Well, actually, if you look at the inscriptions, neighbor means other Jews.
Well, it was one church, but that one church contained a lot of people that were involved in this scandal.
Yeah.
True.
That
but
ends
again. I mean, that is just a natural result of this kind of system.
Yeah. And
it draws a certain type of people.
Yeah.
My main problem with when people do the but it was one church thing is they don't go, oh, it was one church and that church is inexcusable and then nail it. They go, oh, it's one church, further apologetics about actions.
It's one
Or
priest.
you're only talking about human evil. Or
It's like,
you're only talking about the
human
Old
evil.
Testament.
Yeah.
It's all in the same kind of.
It's actually, I'm talking about things
Yeah.
in the world that happened in the world to people in the world. And so if you're in the world and not of the world, why don't you let the people that feel like we are of the world deal with it?
Yeah, set that domino up
Yeah.
purposely because I know that's going to be the first thing that some people will go to. So I wanted to make sure that we knocked it down.
I was going to say, forgive me for doing just a straight appeal to the evangelical mindset. When churches get involved in politics, there is no way to say, oh, they are not now of the world. Elections don't happen in heaven in any version of the Bible. Jesus doesn't vote. He wasn't elected to a position. It's all God-appointed stuff about heaven and hell, etc. Right? There's nothing about passing laws, etc. There's all kinds of passages about don't question authority. God picks the leaders. Do whatever. And if you're oppressed in my name, you're blessed. No part of it says form your own fucking government or political party.
Just to piggyback off of that, what was the Bible quote that Pence threw out about basically in regards to criticism about locking kids up?
Oh, yeah, it was
he threw out a Bible quote of basically
obey leaders.
Yeah, obey your leaders. So if the government is doing it, then you have to obey and you can't criticize them.
Mm-hmm. Funny how that didn't come out when Obama was president.
Yeah, all 8 years, no one ever said, hey, the Bible says you have to obey the government because it's the government.
No, people said Jesus wept.
Yeah. Again, intellectual consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah.